What's going on, guys? Andre here from ListKit, back with another masterclass with my friend Ethan. And on today's video, we're going to go through how to boost your results from your cold email campaigns. Funny enough, without sending any extra cold emails and instead picking up the phone and calling those same prospects. So, Ethan, welcome to the show, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely, dude. So, just real quick, introduce yourself to the audience. Let them know who you are, what you're currently working on. Like, what are you sending cold emails for and making cold calls for? What's the offer?
Yeah, so my name's Ethan Johnson, essentially run just a B2B lead gen agency on a performance basis. We're working with all sorts of different guys at the moment, like marketing agencies, coaches, consultants, a lot of SaaS, some stuff in the supply chain, like a huge range of guys. Yeah.
I love it, bro. So, I think honestly, like, first thing that stands out right away to me is like you're one of the few guys I know in the space that offers these services that is actually actively picking up the phone and calling. And so right away, like that puts you at a huge advantage in the market. Have you seen that like on sales calls or with selling your services? Like people like really appreciate that you guys do the calling or
Man, it's a huge moat. B2B performance-based lead gen, like it's killed. So many guys are doing it. People are getting
yeah.
emailed, we'll set you 10, 20 qualified appointments. Like no one cares about that anymore. But the fact that we cold call to get our own business, so we're speaking with them directly and we say, hey, we're going to do this exact process for you. The person cold calling you right now is going to cold call for your business. It's a huge game changer. Instantly, they're like, yeah, let's jump on a call. We need this.
Yeah, dude, it's game changer, and exactly why I pointed out because, like, yeah, I know so many cold email lead generation
Yeah.
agency owners, and I know a lot of guys that are doing extremely well with it, but I don't know a lot of guys that have the component of picking up the phone and dialing, and actually building out an internal team to do that, and actually using that to sell those exact services. So I love that, bro, and I think like I've been doing cold email for a while now, and we've kind of like set the market temperature, if you will, by saying like in the beginning, cold email is really easy. You could send from
Yeah.
one inbox literally and get the results you wanted. Then it becomes competitive. So now you need multiple inboxes, right? So it's a volume game. But then at a certain point, you can't play the volume game past where everyone else is at, right? So now it's again even ground. How do you level up? It's multi-touch, it's
Yeah.
omni-channel, it's picking up the phone. And so that's how you separate yourself from competition. So next question here is like to do all this cold email, cold call, you obviously need data. I think data is the most important part of the entire process because you could have the best script, you could have the best team, you could call at the best time, email at the best time, have great deliverability. But if it gets to the wrong person, what was even the point? And so, how did you come across ListKit, and what stood out about ListKit that got you to start using it?
Yeah, 100%. What you said there on data, especially for cold calling, is literally like 80% of the results. You can scrape your own lists, you can call, but it's just a headache if you don't have the proper data. Solving that has been the biggest game changer and allowed us to actually scale this to all of our clients because at first it was just kind of an add-on. But yeah, it's changed the entire game. The way we found ListKit was just, following you guys on Twitter. Personal brand was huge. For the longest time, I was using Apollo and ListKit just on ListKit to support you guys because I knew this was going to be huge. As soon as you dropped that message in Client Ascension, like, hey, we're getting phone number data in, that was the best day. Because I just knew everything's going to change for the better now. It stopped bouncing between Apollo, using their mobile enriched numbers, which way too overpriced for what you're actually getting, and just consolidate the entire tech stack down into one software, which is huge.
Yeah, I love that, bro. And I guess my next question then would be, what was your experience before? Like, where were you getting? You said you were using ListKit just because you wanted to support us, which that means a lot, bro. I appreciate that. But what were you using before to get phone number data and email data? And what were some of the pain points that you're kind of waiting on a solution for from ListKit?
Man, okay, so for email data, we were using Apollo and ListKit, just kind of bouncing between the two. Phone number, I've tried everything. Like, we've tried those enterprise solutions like ZoomInfo, Crunchbase, Seamless. LeadRox is another one out there, which is awful. And then Apollo was basically our main. The problem across most of those is the price point. You are overpaying substantially, like thousands of dollars per year, just for like the initial fee. And the data you get does not reflect that in any capacity. Like we're talking 30% of the numbers you're given just are no good. They're going to the wrong person. The number's dead. Or it's an invalid number, like just awful. So as soon as ListKit came up, it was like, okay, perfect. We've got something. Because yeah, it was Apollo and it's 20 cents per number. And there's no guarantee that those are going to be the best numbers. They say mobile, which sure they are, like you're calling someone's cell phone, but it's never the right, or not never, but 30% of the time it's not the right person. So like 20 cents a lead and you've got a 33% chance you're not speaking to the right guy. It's awful.
Yeah, it's really like 50 cents a lead at that point,
Yeah,
you know?
literally. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big problem that we're out there to solve is just transparency with how much data actually does cost. Because yeah, people will compare our pricing to Apollo, which we're cheaper than Apollo on both email and phone number credits, and not just cheaper based on what you see on their website versus our website, but even more because their credits are not verified. Ours are. So you end up paying a
Yeah.
lot more than you think when you sign up for Apollo. It's a similar experience to this is such a random story, bro, but I was booking a rental car for an upcoming trip on Turo, and I saw this car I really liked, and it was like $300. I'm like, dude, that's a great deal. And I go through this entire process and make me put my driver's license, my credit card, like all this information just to get to the last step where it's like final cost $560. And I'm like, what?
What just
Like
happened? Yeah,
what just
literally.
happened? It's like young driver fee,
Ah,
insurance, tax, service charge. I'm like, this is BS. Like, you got me all the way to this point just to say the price is double. And that's kind of how I felt after using Apollo. And I know a lot of other people feel that same way. So I'm happy to hear that ListKit is actually solving some of the problems we set out to solve. I want to go into strategy for the audience
yeah.
listening in because a lot of these guys are sending cold emails. Maybe not all of them are picking up the phone as well. What does your process look like? We already know how to send cold emails.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know how to send cold emails, you haven't watched enough of my content. And we also have a free school community at school.com/listkit where you can go and actually have a full A to Z course on how to send cold emails. It's all there for you. And it's very simple to follow. But like the cold calling aspect, like what is the tech stack? What is the process that you
Yeah.
follow to actually do that consistently?
Yeah, before I touch on that, another thing going back to the data there and the price difference. Because, okay, it's one thing with email, right? You can throw your Apollo leads through a verifier and see, like, okay, X percentage were no good. With cold calling, you're not going to know until you've spent hours actually calling that list. So for a third of those to come up, like, no good, it's not even the price, it's the time that you save, which ListKit just solves completely. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, dude, I appreciate that.
Of
That's an
course.
important point
Yeah.
too, because it's the other big aspect when doing lead gen is it really is a numbers game and a
Yeah.
volume game as much as it is anything else. And so if you're wasting time on leads that you never had a chance to get through to anyways, that's a big deal. And
Yeah.
it's the same reason why, like for ListKit, a big selling point is you don't have to verify the leads on your own. It just saves you time in so many different instances. The whole selling point is like spend less time building lists and more time actually prospecting and talking to your potential customers. So yeah.
Oh, exactly. As far as the process goes for cold call, it's so simple. Like you get the ListKit list, you just hit the mobile numbers, it gives them to you, like in a CSV, just as it would for emails. We take those, segment them down however we need. Like if we're going to personalize them, which sometimes we do, oftentimes you don't really need to. We throw them into close. Any dialer will work, and you literally just start dialing. All the information comes up. Just, hi, am I speaking to John? You go from there. Like it's so simple. I can't even stress how simple it is.
Yeah.
Um,
It is so simple.
yeah.
It's I'm laughing because it's like there's nothing to it really.
No, no, literally. You click a few buttons, it takes 30 seconds, you're in. And then yeah, we've got like I guess two ways that we use it. So obviously you want to use it on the back end of your emails to increase your response rates. So if you got guys opening, if you're tracking that, you could call them. Link clicks, obviously not great for deliverability, but if you're doing the Loom method, for instance, you can see they watched the Loom. Now you cold call them. They're like, oh, I'm talking to the guy who was in that video. That'll up your rates tremendously. And then any sort of response, instead of emailing them where they can just ghost you, which they'll often do, you can just pick up the phone, talk to them right there and then. And really, what you're getting out of that is that instant market feedback. You can hear directly what the prospect's actually thinking. They can't just ghost you. And you can reiterate on the fly your email campaigns, which is typically how we use cold calls, but also just your offers. Like it's instant feedback, which is huge. The other way we use it are just pure cold call campaigns. So we'll literally upload like 1,000 numbers. And then I've got like SDRs that will go through and just dial those. They give the pitch. Hey, so-and-so, this is what we offer. Here's the calendar. Do you want to jump on, discuss this further? Again, what you're getting there are super tight feedback loops. Like you instantly can test the market and see if what you've got is going to work.
Yeah, bro. It's that very quick turnaround and feedback loop, like you said. And I think another point, I've heard this in multiple interviews I've done already on this subject by other guys that are doing cold calling successfully, and it makes so much sense. But it's a lot easier to like skirt or ghost an email than it is like a conversation on the phone, right?
Yeah.
And so I just think it's important to pick up the phone and actually talk to these guys. And then I don't know if you've seen this as well. Maybe you have some stats on this, maybe you don't. But from what I've heard as well is the show rate of the actual call that you book from cold call versus cold email, it's a higher percentage show rate. Is that something you've seen as well?
Significantly. What I got my guys doing on the cold call, hey, do you want to talk Thursday at 2? Yeah, let's do it. Awesome. I just sent you a calendar invite. I want to make sure I got the email right. Can you go check your email, hit accept so I know you got it? Now they're in your nurture sequence. Now they're getting their calendar reminders. They're not just going to ghost that because they have made a commitment to you. Yeah, I saw the invite. Yes, I clicked accept. Yes, I'm going to be there. And then you can reiterate, hey, do you think there's any reason you might not be able to make it? Just want to make sure we like make the best use of each other's time. It's a lot harder to no-show someone after they've spoken with you.
So much harder because it's not just letters on a screen
Yeah.
anymore. And another point too is like the tone, right? I think I always say this to my team at the agency and at the coaching program and at ListKit. It's like if you write words on the screen, like depending on what mood someone is in or just how they interpret what you wrote, like, the tone often gets lost
Yes.
or misunderstood. But when you're talking to someone live on the phone, like you can hear the different emotions that are coming out of their voice with the different words that they're saying. So it's a lot clearer of a tone that gets communicated through something like a cold call or just speaking to someone on the phone. Another thing I want to ask you here, Ethan, is when you get someone on the phone, earlier you mentioned some people you personalize, some people you don't. Can you go a little bit more into details, like what determines whether or not you personalize and what the difference actually looks like?
Yeah, so that's something we're starting to implement now when it's warranted or if we can with the campaign. So for instance, let's say we're doing like lead gen for a website design agency. We can research the prospect's website beforehand. You could just get your VA to do this. They could come up with like 2 things on the website that need to be fixed because they're leaving money on the table otherwise. Then when you call them, you can say, hey, I've taken a look at your website and I've noticed on your products page, you don't have them segmented based off location, which is hurting your SEO, which isn't letting you rank. Now in the prospect's mind, you actually have done research. This isn't just some generic like scam call where you're just, hey, do you want this? Hey, do you want this? The prospect sees you've done legitimate research to them specifically, which just bridges that gap of rapport and gets them like genuinely interested.
Absolutely, bro. I mean, at this point, it's such a no-brainer to pick up the phone and start calling some of these leads that you already paid for or that you've tried to email but haven't been able to book them on a call. Because from what we've seen, and we've done interviews on this, we've reviewed campaign stats, but like if you're emailing 1,000 people and you're getting 1 or 2 people to book from email, if you pick up the phone and call those same 1,000 people, you'll get another 4 to 6 to book a call. So like
Easily.
just think about the difference that can make in your business to get that many more calls booked without having really to get any more data or not have to burn through more of your target market because target markets are not infinite, you know?
No, exactly. And then even if you went just cold call, like if you've got a good offer and a good script and the person knows what they're doing, you'll be booking a call every 100 or so dials. And so again, like it's huge, like to recycle leads, to be able to go through, like so you're not burning through your TAM. Complete game changer.
Yeah, and so one thing I always love to ask, so say someone does actually go in, actually, first question before this, what do you think are some of the reasons why people maybe don't pick up the phone and actually call these leads? Like maybe what was a limiting belief that you had going into it that maybe made you delay implementing cold calling and not do it as soon as you probably should have?
And it's so funny. Fear, I think, is probably the biggest. I remember trying cold email to get clients, wasn't really working. I'm just not that great of a copywriter. And eventually it just came to the point of necessity where I was like, okay, I at least need to cold call, like just to see what's going on, what the reception is. And my heart was racing those first few dials. I think even if you come from a sales experience, you've taken sales calls, cold calling is different. It feels awkward. It can feel like you're interrupting the person. The status frame isn't there. You feel really low status by cold calling, at least to begin. So it takes a whole different headspace to go in there, be confident interrupting these people in the day, and genuinely believing that what you've got is important enough to warrant that disruption. But yeah, fear every time.
Yeah, like I put out a tweet. It's funny. It's like if you're getting ghosted after receiving a positive reply from cold email, have you tried picking up the phone and calling them? And like the first response was like, no, that's uncomfortable.
Yep.
And it's like, bro, if that's your excuse for not doing everything in your power, such as picking up the phone and calling someone, then you don't deserve the business growth that you're
Exactly.
really after. I believe. Like I firmly believe that.
No, 100%.
So that's why Ethan will take all of your clients happily.
Please send them my way. Or if you're too scared to call them yourself, send them to me. I'll call them for you. Like,
yeah, exactly. There you go. Now you can go and buy Ethan's services if you don't want to do it yourself, right?
yeah,
And honestly, that's a practical solution as well. Maybe not because they're scared or because it's uncomfortable or because they fear cold calling, but like business owners are busy, right?
yeah.
And so they might not have the time to pick up the phone or sit on the phone all day. Have you had any experience with like actually hiring out for people to call on your behalf as well?
Yeah, so I've got 3 callers at the moment. We're looking to onboard a 4th. Like, it's hard to find guys that are willing to do it, but when you can, it's huge. Like, you train those guys up. We do commission basis, so you get paid per appointment you set that actually shows. But yeah, like we've got a mini SDR team. We're essentially like a whole fractional SDR team at this stage for a lot of businesses.
That's awesome, bro. And I guess what would be your number one piece of advice for two different parts of this? One, hiring people to do calling. Like, what do you look for? And then number two, leadership and training. Like, how do you make sure they actually perform in the role once you've hired them?
Yeah, okay. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. 2 things. One, trust your gut. If you've got a bad vibe with the caller that you onboard, you're probably correct. Like, if things don't pan out within a few weeks and a few hundred dials, you might be able to get through to them. You might be able to train them up, but do you want to spend the time and resources to do that? Probably not, especially if you aren't on the lines yourself, so you know whether or not it truly works. The other thing is improv. If you have good improv skills, you will succeed. A lot of cold calling is just thinking quick on your feet, being able to spin up an answer that at least satisfies their curiosity to a point while also angling them to get on a call to learn more. If you try to script everything out, it's going to sound super unnatural. The prospect's going to know. They're going to say, like, am I talking to a robot? Or like, hey, can you just stop reading the script and talk to me like a real human? So being able to do that will instantly set you apart. The prospects feel heard, like they're actually talking to someone. In terms of the training and like making sure callers are good, shadowing and role play are like the 2 biggest things we do. So I'll have a manager, someone to go in, listen to them while they call. Just like they'll mute up, get on like Discord or on Slack huddle, share their screen so they can hear the prospect as well. Listen in, and then immediately after the call, here's what you could have done different. Boom, boom, boom. And then role play. Get all the guys together, go through mock scenarios, mock objections that were uncomfortable. You couldn't figure it out, and just drill it out constantly, like literally every day.
That's so good, bro. I love that. It's just practice. Yeah, and
Yeah.
dude, funny enough, that's how I got my start. Before I even got into entrepreneurship, I started working as a caller at a call center. And I learned so much, dude. If you don't have personal experience picking up the phone and calling prospects to try to get them to buy your service or even book a call, do it.
Yeah.
It will build so many different skill sets subconsciously that you can't even like fathom right now. It just did so much for my personal development and for like my business knowledge. Like I'll just find myself even now, like 4 or 5 years later, I'll find myself in different situations in business where I will think back to like things I learned through picking up the phone and calling people. So that's awesome to hear. The question I was referring to a little while back, I'll loop back to now, is say I'm one of the few in the audience listening here now that goes out and takes your advice and actually implements this system. How do I know whether or not it's successful? What are some KPIs that you're measuring for? Like in cold email, it's like you get a certain open rate, a certain response rate, a certain positive response rate, and then a certain call booked rate.
Yeah.
What are those same metrics, if you will, for picking up the phone and calling?
Yeah. They map on really well. So what we track are dial to connection rate. So that is, did we speak to the person we intended to speak with, not a gatekeeper, the actual prospect? In that instance, if you can get above 10%, that's amazing. Anything less than 8, that's when we start to look at solutions. From there, you've got the pitch rate. We do permission-based openers. So, hey, this is a cold call. Could I have a quick 30 seconds? We track the amount of people who say yes to that pitch. Depending on the industry, more blue collar guys, if you can get above 60, you're doing well. If you're talking more white collar, that could be 70 to 80%. And then from there, your conversation rate, we're looking at appointment booking rate. So I know Dylan Rich does good fit rate, which is after the conversation, did they actually meet our qualification criteria? If yes, then he'll go to appointment booking rate. Because what we're doing is just the lead gen, we don't need to qualify that much. We cut that rate out and just go straight to the appointment booking rate. From there, 10% and up is like golden. So if all the systems are in place, you're looking at roughly every 100 to 200 dials, you should be getting a meeting booked.
That's super helpful to be able to measure those stats. And it's crazy because 100 to 200 dials to get a call booked, it's like 1,000 emails to get a
Yeah.
call booked. So it's way less volume that's required to get a call booked through picking up the phone and dialing. So, and there's tools and softwares like you already walked us through, so I won't say it again, but I really appreciate you for giving the full roadmap. And I will say again, as a reminder for people in the audience, if there's any knowledge barrier here, then either you're not listening or we didn't do our job. If there is a knowledge barrier from just listening to this interview, there's plenty of other interviews on this channel. And we also have an A to Z course from Dylan, who Ethan mentioned there, the SDR Whisperer, A to Z, how to cold call from start to finish for free, completely free. There's no email opt-in or anything. If you go to school.com/ListKit, it's a free community for people like us who just want to learn and share what's working for them. You can go and join that community today and get a free course on cold calling and, of course, cold emailing. That's what we're known for. And so we have industry leading education on that again for free. And then, of course, listkit.io for the actual leads. As Ethan mentioned, some of the things we really focus on with ListKit is just getting you guys leads as fast as possible. So you're not sitting there and spending so much time building the list instead of actually talking to people on that list, and then giving you the best pricing on the market as well. And the most transparent pricing, more importantly, so you know actually what you're paying for and what you're getting. So, Ethan, dude, I appreciate you being on here and just sharing this value with our audience. Is there anything you want to leave these guys with? Any last words of wisdom or recommendations or anything left unsaid?
Man, just pick up the phone and start dialing. Like, watch Wolf of Wall Street and then just get to it. That's it.
Bro, that might be the best piece of advice. I'm the same way. I
Yeah.
get motivated by like stupid things like movies and just like seeing like other characters do this sort of stuff. And honestly, one of the coolest videos in line with the Wolf of Wall Street is Jordan Belfort. I don't know if it's one video or multiple, but he's got videos on YouTube live cold calling. So
Yeah.
those are fun to watch too.
Always good. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Just make it a game. Have fun with it.
Literally.
So
Like, you set the record, beat it the next day. Like, when you can
yeah,
gamify
dude,
it,
it's a
man, it
leaderboard.
actually is fun. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I love that. So play the game. I love what you said. Just pick up the phone. No more nonsense. You're not missing anything. You can do it. So the last thing then, Ethan, is where can our audience find you and follow you? Maybe they cold called for a while. They just don't have the time. They want to hire one of your guys to do it. Just drop us your social links and your website.
Yeah, so website would be outreachoutcomes.com. In terms of social, not really that online too much. Twitter at Stacking Sales. If you even just want some advice on cold calling, even if you're an SDR trying to get into tech sales, anything along those lines, hit me up. More than happy to share some knowledge there.
Sweet, bro. You've already shared a bunch, and so I'm sure everyone listening in right now is super appreciative. And yeah, guys, you heard it all. There's really nothing unsaid here. It's just go sign up for ListKit if you haven't already. Implement everything Ethan talked about, and if anything, please come back and share the results with us. If you have questions, right? We got the school community. Ethan mentioned his Twitter. I'm on Twitter as well. So join the conversation. Don't be a stranger. We're here to support and learn from each other. We want to all grow together, which is why we're doing this. So anyways, appreciate y'all listening and happy prospecting. Peace for now.